Yola Carlo, and I'm Julie Weinberger. What we have found out over our years of running businesses is that, well, the three of us, when we started our businesses, they really didn't have things like VBSR, which is why Pat was one of the founding members of VBSR. And Yola was with Burt's Bees and a variety of companies, Ben and Jerry's, Molly. So they helped, they were the first wave on really getting this into Vermont. I started my first company, which is Line Sync Architecture, in 1988. At that time, green was still a color. So after they did their hard work and I raised my kids, I joined Pat on the board for Vermont Business and Social Responsibility, which was really great because everyone told me I was crazy. How can you're going to start an architectural practice and you're going to pay people by the hour? You know, the whole architectural realm was worked on. You give people little salaries and you work them 40, 90 hours a week. And it's like, no, we don't want to do that. And we have this idea of environmentally sound practices and, you know, the good Vermont way, and people thought we were nuts. Until our hedge fund client took us, we did his office in New York City, and there was a brownout in New York City. And his brother, who's also a hedge fund manager, he says, "Hey Roy, what are you doing?" He says, "I'm trading." "What are you doing?" He said, "How can you be trading? There's a brownout, there's no power." He says, "You're Vermont architect." And all of a sudden, there was a building block of change of people that believed in what we were trying to do. So what we're wanting to do is help people do what we did, which is start small. How do you make your socially responsible goals? And how do you get support for it? All of us, obviously, VBSR is an incredible support. It helps you learn what next steps are for what you want to do. There's an assessment in VBSR that Yola's going to talk more about. There's work on the political realm. If you want to go further, Pat's going to talk about the American Sustainable Business Council. And when I left being board chair of VBSR, Jeffrey Hollander nominated me to be chair of the board for Green America. And Green America does what VBSR does for Vermont on a national level. And it's really fun to be working on that level, and they have ideas too. So I'm going to start by introducing Green America. You all know a little bit about VBSR because that's why you're here, but we'll intersperse our talk with that. And then Yola's going to talk a little bit about B Corp assessment, measuring what matters. You know, how do you know that you're getting better? And also what I find is by doing these assessments, Green America has a very simple assessment. But by doing them, you're like, oh, no, I don't do that yet, but that can be my next goal. Oh, so it helps when you do these assessments to figure out where you want to go next. And then Pat's going to talk more about working on socially responsible policy issues. So what I wanted to show you is and there are on your sides, the slide panels, there's a Green American, there's business cards. It's, I think, $85 a year to join the Green Business Network. And there's cards about joining the business network, and then there's my card. And this is the Green Business Network. It just tells you a little bit about some of the people that are in the Green Business Network. They give their stories. And then it tells you how to get certified. You can get certified, build your business. It gives you all kinds of ideas of what to do to become a little bit more socially responsible. So to get certified, you get this Green Business certification, and there are the different standards. And one thing I want to just show you is when you're getting started, when you go through the standards, like I said, it helps give you ideas on where you think you can go. They have different samples of what other people have done and how to reach your market, various things. So my overview is to show you where to go with this. It costs nothing to review and see what their standards are, to see if it's something that you want to do that might help you with your particular rise or deepening of your socially responsible practices. So I'm going to hand this over to Yola. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about
Great. Thank you, Julie. So thank you, everyone, for being here. As you can see, you have a great many years of accumulated wisdom in the front of the room in this field. So as Julie said, I am with VLab today, with a long history of having been with aspirational companies like Ben & Jerry's and Burt's Bees and so on. And what I'm so excited about today with these various certifications and with VLab is about collaboration. We're seeing companies, organizations within VBSR, within VLab, within Green America and AHPC, who are now working together. And for me, who has worked individually in aspirational companies, that's a huge step, and it's very exciting. So how many of you, first of all, are actually creating social and or environmental goals within your businesses? Good, so about half. And how many of you are creating and measuring them? Slightly fewer, yeah. And how many of you are familiar with B Corp? That's my last question. Okay, good. So I won't go through a long definition of B Corp, except to say overall, before we talk about the assessment, which I think is another self-management tool, and to a degree, all of these certifications really work collaboratively. B Corp has three primary components. One is it's called Benefit Corporation, which is an innovative and very exciting legal structure for companies, for which we lobby state by state. Vermont was actually the first to implement it. Benefit Corporation is a legal structure comparable to C Corp or S Corp that actually legally protects a company so that it is able to serve all of its stakeholders, not simply its shareholders. And we're not going to talk about that today. The second component is B Corp certification, which is, to my thinking, it's said to be an extremely rigorous certification. It is extremely comprehensive so that it looks across all business functions, unlike, for instance, fair trade certification, which would look at ingredients or products. A B Corp certification looks across many of your business functions, which is why we think it might be a good tool to help you look for social and environmental goals that might be meaningful to you. And the third piece that we're going to talk about is the impact assessment, which I would like to walk you through. The B Corp Impact Assessment is the tool by which companies become eligible for B Corp certification. I think it's an exciting piece because A, it's slightly customized to who you are as a company. It is dynamic, it changes every 2 years, it becomes a little more rigorous. It's very comprehensive, and we at VLab have partnered with VBSR. All of us are or were on the VBSR board of directors. So this tool is available to you through the VBSR site. Before we go through it, I just want to be clear to avoid any confusion. Again, it is the tool that businesses use to determine their eligibility for B Corp certification. There are 2,500 certified B Corps around the world. There are about 40,000 businesses that are using the B Corp Impact Assessment for any number of reasons. And so we're inviting you, as Julie has at Green America, to log on, use it, enjoy it, bring your teams together, go through the various sections, and choose the goals that might be most relevant to you. It's confidential. You will be providing information at the front end, but it's absolutely confidential unless you decide to be a certified B Corp, and that's a whole other meeting. But for our purposes today, for planning our goals, it's a tool for you to use with your teams, and it's free. So, shall we'll just take a quick look at it. To get there, you have a bunch of choices. The easiest, okay. The easiest choice would be to go to the VBSR website and look for a quick impact assessment, and that will take you to the B Corp impact assessment, or you can go to the B Corp site, or you can go to a site called bimpactassessment.net/VBSR, so you have plenty of choices about how to get there. So here is how it works. As I said, it's a very comprehensive impact assessment. It covers all areas of your business function. So you may not know, if you're planning social and environmental goals, you may not know what area you want to focus on, or you may want to have goals that sort of span your whole bandwidth. There are 4 areas covered in the impact assessment. The first one would be governance. About 28 questions within this section. And they're questions like, what portion of your management is evaluated in writing on their performance with regard to corporate, social, and environmental targets? So, really good idea. I think a lot of companies have already thought about if social and environmental responsibility and values are part of our DNA, they really ought to be part of an employee's performance review as well. So as you go through this impact assessment, stop, I think, for a moment with your team and ask if this is something that might be relevant in terms of a goal that would work for you. Does the company have a formal process to share financial information? 28 questions in this governance section. I would go through all of them. It really, I think it's very productive to have a team because it inspires good dialogue and good conversation about what's relevant. There is a section on workers. This is a section which would be HR relevant. And I think you will find there are lots of innovative suggestions. The B Corp impact assessment was put together with the help of a number of various organizations. I think we worked with the team at Green America, we worked with GRI. So it's a good compilation of a number of certifications. So based on reference compensation studies, which you will find within this assessment, how does your company's compensation structure, excluding executive management, compare with the market? So you may find that a goal around your workers and around your employees would be to establish a certain balance in your compensation. Community, again, community is the next section. Lots of good questions on supply chain. Those of you who are working with supply chain and vendors, the influence that you can have in terms of building accountability and transparency through your supply chain is really phenomenal. So there are lots of good questions about how could we look at supply chain? What goals could we have in terms of influencing our partners and our vendors to actually measure their own social and environmental progress. And again, environment. Those will be more familiar to everyone, and they will, of course, be dependent on the impact you have. But which is the broadest community with whom your environmental reviews and audits are formally shared? It's about transparency and accountability. So 200 questions in all. I am going to suggest, just as a good exercise with a team, it's valuable to go through this entire impact assessment at your leisure. It's very intuitive. You can share your login information with anyone on your team. And the reason why I suggest going through the whole thing is that it will give you a good picture at the end about where you are strong and where you're not so strong. And you may decide to set goals in the area where you're strong and advance them, or you may want to tackle some of the areas that need special attention. Do I have a few more minutes? If I go faster? Okay, then there's 2 other pieces. At any time on the impact assessment, you will find a page that allows you to compare your score against what we call conventional businesses in the industry. How are other companies doing who are not planning sustainability goals? This is just a picture of King Arthur Flowers scores compared to conventional industry. And then the final piece, which I think might be really helpful to you, there are numbers of tools on this site. I'm going to show you a customized improvement. This is how you, Dancing Deer has a plan to attack the goals that they've chosen. And they've written it out, what's the time frame, how many points, and again, I'm sorry, points are never an ideal way to measure progress, but it seems to be one of the few ways to do it. How much could it raise your score? And your score is only relevant to you unless you decide to certify. Who's going to be the content owner and how long is it going to take? So I think that can be really helpful. And then you have a number of other resources in terms of goal planning that are available. Best practice guides, improvement case studies. Etsy is a company, for instance, who is a certified B Corp and is measuring improvement against itself year to year. So when they create their CSR report, they use their score on this assessment to show that they've improved or what their progress has been. Good, thank you.
I just realized I forgot to do one housekeeping thing. Is there anyone in here who does not want to be on the video?
Oh,
phew. I forgot to announce that.
because you are being videoed.
Yeah, all the sessions are being videoed. The other thing I wanted to just note is my company, like I said, we started in 1988, and it took a while to get myself organized. And when I first looked at the B-Lab, I was absolutely overwhelmed. So I did the Green America.
Not in a good sense.
Not
Okay.
And so I did the Green America certification. And what I feel that that did was set me up. And then when I was ready to go to the next level, I went to the V-Lab. And Lansing Architecture now is certified B. And my husband loves these little buttons. He wears them every single day. So take one if you'd like, to be the change. So you know, my start on this journey of getting support was VBSR. And then working towards with Green America, and then with B-Lab, and also I had the opportunity to go to an American Sustainable Business Council meeting, and that was so fun. I was going to tell you about that.
And I think, did we mention that we're doing a brief intro, and then we're going to break into subgroups and work on whatever your key goals, and see how these resources will help you. So I will just take a few minutes to show you where, this is so tall.
That's better.
The,
You want a chair?
Step chair. Where Julie and Yola have focused on resources and tools to help you internally with your company. We see ASBC as well as some of VBSR's services as a way to change the environment in which you're doing business, in which you're trying to accomplish what you're doing. The keynote gave a good example, I think, today, when he said that when you see the picture of Fred Astaire dancing with Ginger Rogers, and Fred Astaire is the entrepreneur, and she is a social entrepreneur doing it backwards and in heels. And so after a few years of trying to do things as a socially responsible business, many of us come to think that it shouldn't be so difficult to do the right thing. And that there should be ways to help others and to change the environment. And of course, for some businesses, this is part of their core mission. So I think the tab is open. Do we have the slides?
Oh, you want the slides?
Yeah. Okay, great. So I'll just very quickly go through. So these are resources in VBSR, for those who don't know this. VBSR is a member of the American Sustainable Business Council. And so as a VBSR member, you have access to many of their resources. So nothing that I'm talking about today, would there be a charge for you to participate? Of course, we urge you to join ASBC also because there are additional advantages to some of that. But so if you want to access some of these things other than anything on the website, you can sign up on their website, participate, and you can come to different programs, and I'll show you this. But you can call Dan or you can contact me. I'm a board member, and between us we will connect you if you have a very specialized focus you don't see. So, so that's VBSR with. Oh, it's the PDF. Okay. So this is just an example. ASBC regularly does free webinars, and they're online. You can sign up for them and say which ones you want to participate in. I pulled ones. This is the spring sample. It's around basically how to advance your socially responsible policies and missions using social media, advocating and lobbying, their focus being at the national level, but it works again in partnership with VBSR for here at the state. We have many issues we're working on together. And then how to get the media and the word out. And so these are usually 45 minutes to an hour, a webinar, and it's from around the country. They're generally in the afternoon because the members are around the country. So that was just a quick example. I think I can, this is just, and I'll show you the website, but they have issues on the website. And this is just a top screenshot. They're broken into areas. Each one of these, if it's in the Action Center, there is a coordinated nationwide campaign, and they have a policy. And each one, we'll show you quickly, has what's on the right. It has an action you can take to sign up or to send a letter to a particular decision maker. It has background on the issue, which can be very helpful. It has data, some of it's very extensive. What's at stake, next steps, and additional info. And so that's on each one of these issues. You can see we've got a broad thing in climate, taxes, financial markets, big whole thing on workplace, high road employers, diversity and inclusion, and the healthcare is, I think, a sample that I pull up. And then and I think we are going to cover that, but just in case people weren't aware, VBSR has the Vermont version of this, not as extensive and not everything's up from the new website, but it'll soon be there. And so they have individual boxes with background image in them. So ASBC, you got 200,000 businesses. That kind of number tends to get attention even at the national level. And 80 business organizations, including VBSR. Companies individually, you can be a member also. And it's the federal level. They also help and partner with the government at the state level. At the moment, I think we've got the water policy going on that's both national and in Vermont. Here we've got multiple climate change things going on. They help place op-eds and policy statements. And so if you're interested in or your business has an issue, and particularly smaller businesses won't have the resources in-house, they can help you with that. And they will work with you also to get it placed. If it's anything in their action center, they will gladly work to help get it placed for you. And they also refer business leaders and their members to speak to the media on the issue. I was looking for that. And the last one is great, is both great fun and very educational. When they're working on an issue, they organize a fly-in to DC, and VBSR members have regularly participated in some of these. They just did, the first week of May, they did a fly-in on climate change. And so businesses come, it is at your own expense. This is where you start paying versus, So businesses come to DC, but they've pre-lined up some sessions and meetings with key members of Congress, key administration folks, lobbyists on both sides. They are nonpartisan, although as we all know that it isn't always easy to do these days. And so VBSR has participated, and a number of our members have gone down on various issues. The whole GMO issue was a partnership with ASBC and VBSR. And then VBSR, we've talked, I think most people are familiar with that. So with that said, then I close this one. Okay, so this is the action center. So it's asbcouncil.org. So these are the action centers. So these are formal things. Each one of these will have that. I put up healthcare is a good one to show you because it just was relaunched. We're actually talking with them about coming to show the latest film here in Vermont. And look at this, and this is an issue. This is a good example of an issue that is being led by a member of ASBC who is supporting a nationwide campaign to change it. A business owner in the Midwest just said, this is killing me. We've got to get it changed. A quite conservative, I think, business person, and found ASBC and started working with it. He came to the annual summit they do that Julie was referring to is in the fall, and we go to the White House and we meet with administration people. We meet with our congressional delegation, which is kind of funny for us Vermonters, and everybody's jealous. But sometimes you meet with other administration folks and they want to Vermont, or we go to lend our voice to another state if there's a key senator that, or representative who is good, working well with our delegation. So this is the sort of thing you have for each issue. There are more issues than there are actions. But this is where you'll see the broad area, and it should look very familiar to anyone in this arena. So they are another resource, and it's all around changing the environment in which we're working versus doing it internally by yourself.
So what we're going to do now is have you group you into groups of 3 or 4 if you want to do who you're sitting, or you just want to turn around. And we thought, it says 5, you can do 3, you can do 1, to talk with each other about what you are doing in the various areas of social responsibility for your company now, or where you want to go. And one easy way to do it, when you're looking for social responsibility goals, they call them SR goals, you can look, the easy one that everyone thinks of. I can't speak and write at the same time. Is do you have any environmental things that you're doing? What's your next goal, your future goal on that? And then you've got your HR goals, or how you treat your staff. Do you have any HR goals on that? I know right now with VLab there's a big flux on diversity and inclusion. Do you have any goals on diversity or inclusion within your business, with the community? How is it that you interact with your community? Do you, is there a volunteer day that you do for your community? What is it? And then the fourth area is governance. What are your goals there? Yes? Supply chain, to me, falls in community. Yeah, or environment. It's like, sometimes it's how you measure it here, and then what you want here, so you're going to do whatever feels best to you. So before we do that, though, does anyone have questions for any of us before we break you up into groups? Yes.
Can I ask a question? So I think Yola, you mentioned that there were 40,000 companies that had gone through the assessment process just for, I guess, to
Yeah.
understand where they are relative. Do you know why then 2,500, only 20, I guess out of 40,000, only 2,500 pursue certification?
Yeah. I sort of do. So I wanted to mention at the end of last year, Forbes magazine did a wonderful media piece that we love. And the header was "Be like a B Corp." It didn't say "Be a B Corp." There are countless reasons why a company might not move ahead to a Green America or to a B Corp or to ASBC membership or certification, the minimum score, but have launched on a journey to get to the minimum score, which for B-Lab is 80. Practices and performances and programs don't meet, so they're not eligible. Some companies, there is a fee for becoming a certified B Corp. Some companies do not feel that they want to pay that. Sometimes it so often happens, I'm sorry, but the B-Lab impact assessment is a bear. You've got to, anyone who's looked at it knows that. So some companies feel that they're not ready to prioritize a person or an intern or that. So it goes on and on. And when I say that there are 40,000 on the impact assessment, it's anywhere from we logged on, we looked at it, and we ran away. That is definitely a category, Or some people are saying, okay, we're going to break this up and give it to our teams and activate our teams to work towards a goal. So they're using, and some are saying we're just going to use it as an internal management tool, and we're not interested in the membership benefits and so on. So, a whole bunch of reasons that span.
I just, I want to say, I've actually been twice on the website, looked at it, gotten overwhelmed and run away. And I've always made some progress in the questions. I actually need to revisit it again. And what it made me do though is think differently about my business.
Yeah.
And so although I'm not necessarily saying I need to be a certified B Corp, I'm curious, I'm interested, it's in alignment with a lot of things that I probably am already doing, and it had me really think differently about how I conduct my business, which is, I think, a really huge piece.
And that's true of any objective, independent, third-party certification. It's somebody, our friends at Cabot say it's like doing a CAT scan on your business. It's someone outside looking. I just want to add one thing when you get into your groups. I'm going to push back a little bit on something Jason said this morning about the company that came to him and said they were looking for a cause. I think it's, when you look for a cause or for your goal, you do want to choose something that's relevant internally to your teams, to your company, to your size, maybe even to your brand, and externally maybe relevant to your community and to your work. So I think it's fair to say we're going to do a little research about what makes sense to us. If you're a small company and one of your social goals is working in the community, you might choose to work with a smaller grassroots organization as opposed to signing up with Red Cross or something. I think there are factors. And then my other thing I want to say is when you get into your groups, hopefully you'll mix. Some of you may want to ask, why would we set goals? So those of you who have already set goals, I think could be really helpful in sharing what kind of difference that makes and why you do that, and what are those goals. We've given you tons of resources that may be overwhelming.
And the other thing I wanted to say is that all these groups work together.
Yes.
Even our co-chair, our co-executive director for Green America sits on the ASBC board. There's all, so Mark, speaking to you, like for me, like I said, the first thing I couldn't deal with. So I did the VBSR certification. Green America certification. And that helped me prepare now I understood the B Corp certification so much better.
Yeah.
And then I was able to do it.
I swear this is the last thing. Marky, I don't know when you last logged on, but I should say to everyone, we had that feedback so often. The design and the graphics and the optics, we're talking about optics, have been upgraded, so it's not nearly as overwhelming visually as it used to be.
Can you speak to the difference between the two certifications at all?
Green America, it's far less rigorous. A lot of the Green America business owners are small and micro businesses, and so it's more geared. We do have some large businesses and they do a little bit more rigorous, but it's just easier. So, it's not as rigorous, it doesn't have, like when I did the B Corp, you have to verify everything and upload, and it took my administrative assistant and I over the course of a few months to pull it together. Whereas the Green America one, you sit down and it's a couple hours. It's not as, it doesn't carry as much weight as the B Corp, but it's a great way to get started. So with that, I thought about your question more. It's definitely environmental, the supply chain.
Actually, I would argue that.
Okay,
I would too.
so it goes back and forth.
Yeah, to me, yeah, because I usually do, people planet prosperity or people
Right.
planet, so, and to me, supply chain, particularly if it's overseas, it's the human, it's the
Yeah.
people.
The
Yeah.
VLAB
The
assessment
people.
has it in community.
Yes.
Yes.
I was
Okay,
thinking Derek
so-
Thomas was good with
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. And the other thing that I
producers.
didn't mention, so, it is how you look at it. The other thing I didn't mention, we can do all these things that we want, set all these great goals, and it's fantastic. But unless we keep our businesses financially solid,
Yes, yes.
it doesn't mean a thing. So in your social responsibility goals, you do need to have your financial goals in order as well. So we'd like you to break up into groups of 3 or 4 people, 5 if you want. Here are some suggestions, and to have everyone talk a little bit about, at least come up with, anywhere between 1 and 5 goals, whatever works for you. We'll be around to answer any questions, and then we'll give it, and we don't have a half hour anymore, but we'll give it to like 25 of, and then we'll come back and talk with each other. So however you want to separate, and then in your group decide how you want to.
You probably don't want to be here.
I've been eyeing you.
I'm a faculty member, so I don't have, very different.
I just want to be a fly on the wall.
I'm going to encourage you to join another group, and I'm actually going to ask for a couple of
Sarah, one other person you find
So I'm encouraging her to join another. You need to staff Justin with Jeffrey Collins.
You guys in agreement there?
Do you want to join her?
No, we want her, no, you have her.
I'm Susan. Nice to meet you. Fantastic. I am a PA and a health coach and started communication management. So we make local resource tourism, and we're moving into a kitchen space in 2 weeks. Right now, it's been through, we have a website and you can order online, and then we have pickup sites in Richmond and Jericho and business in UC as well, so the elementary school. Hi, I'm Susan. I am a health coach. I just started a community kitchen in Richmond. We've been working out of my friend's kitchen for the last year and a half. We're just on a day week making local resource frozen dinners. And we are now expanding into a kitchen space in 2 weeks. We're going to have a teaching kitchen and be able to ramp up our production of food, but also do classes, workshops, community gatherings, events, rental space, all this stuff. And we're the snow station.
Yeah. And so it's really taken off.
It's the response to just that little piece has been great.
There used to be this place in Essex Junction called like the Bougie Chef. It never really seemed to, I don't know what it was about it, but it never really seemed to grab hold of what I thought was great.
It's pretty impressive actually. We've been selling out of our stuff within hours. We post a menu every 2 weeks and we usually sell out within a day or two of posting it. So we have pickup. It's like CSA in some ways. It's like you have to pick up in Richmond on Monday from 3 to 6. But we're going to have a storefront now, so we have just that's where you're going. No, we are an LLC. Yeah. that's why I really wanted to be a transition, be behind our for-profit business rather than, the nonprofit. My friend worked for my partner, so she's like been in the nonprofit world for a long time, and she's like, I don't know if that's necessarily the answer to everything. And my dad is a big B Corp person. That's what I grew up living with, and I was like, okay, we can be a for-profit and still have a social mission.
So what is the aspect? How would you verbalize your social mission?
That our mission is to make it easier for everyone in our community to be able to access and make it easier for everyone. So whatever your issue is it time, is it energy, is it knowledge, do you need, and so that it's not just our friends buying the food with, disposable income, it's the people from every walk of life that can come and have a community, walk in for classes and diabetic education or whatever it is. So, in creating stronger bonds with the farmers so that they have a voice and a voice so that people have more access to them, because it seems like the divide sometimes between farmers and the foodies and then the people who are looking after Doritos, is divided for Vermont. Like, how do you make that accessible to everyone? And I'm sure that you guys deal with similar issues, like clientele. Right.
The feeling of
That's what we were
So your two organizations, have you had conversations about
give us a call. We put that in. We're forced to reflect between getting trained
So we generally ask for.
So I know that a lot of, especially in gardens where that is
What are the, I mean, it's great, what are examples are
I get the CSAs delivered to my house and all the food rots because I just don't have time or energy to know what to do with it anyway. And so,
whereas others want to improve like
right now, we're just like figuring out with the fire marshal how to get a permit to like knock down the walls and do this. There's so many pieces. And as she's talking to me, I went through the B Corp assessment and I have a list about this law. And I'm like, oh yeah, we need written policies and we need performance reviews and transparency and accountability. So I'm just curious to get and just a formalized business plan and operating plans. So I don't really know where to focus first, but it is, I think, a big piece of ours is that image thing of how, as a new business, when you start, that you don't want to be seen as an elitist organization, and you are actually a community. So I think that's a big focus on our motto is welcome you to the table, and everyone is welcome at a place at the table. It's not
How's it going? Good.
That's what we're gonna have a retail spot. There's like, there's every little people who don't have a presence somewhere and just want to sell a little bit of something. It's all overwhelming, so just bring it out, bring it out.
So what was your motivation for going so far at this point in this juncture? Why did you go for
Because this is when we're kind of laying the framework of who we are, and so I wanted it to be woven into the fabric of who we are when we're presenting ourselves, when we're kind of putting our image together.
Are you gonna go for the certification or just for a?
I talked to my dad for a while about this, like, I think it's the best tool out there, in terms of if you know who you are and know what you stand for, that whether or not you feel the data of that, and then you read all of those,
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
But we haven't talked about this.
Well, so I'm actually wearing two hats in this conversation. So first and foremost, I'm here as a Champlain College business faculty member. So I teach accounting and management. And as part of our mission, we're really trying to teach our students how to engage with change and really embrace this business as a course. So that's the one hat that brings me here. The other hat that brings me here is that I'm actually a doctoral student who is studying why multimedia science entities pursue sustainability certification. And so B Corp is in fact my case study. So really kind of this overarching curiosity for why, and just appreciating also in terms of publicly available information, the only companies that I can find are the companies that are certified. And so why companies are motivated to pursue certification, given all the time and cost constraints that small businesses typically have. So it's been wildly interesting, and there's a comparative aspect of my study between Vermont and Nova Scotia, and Vermont because we're in Nova Scotia. And so that's my full disclosure hat as to how I frame up this conversation. So what's interesting is through my research, I have found that companies that have, and again, especially companies that have become certified, do find that it's been very helpful as they're really proactively forming their business. That oftentimes what happens is small entities think about it as more of a fire drill, like, oh wow, I have this going on in the business and I don't have a policy to deal with that, so I'll create a policy or I'll deal with it ad hoc as opposed to intentionally setting up a policy. Something as simple as time, flexibility. It's like all those different things that relax have you think about with some intentionality in a problem.
Hit yourself first. Do that.
We have a place called
But it comes when they have 20 years out, so there are 500 employees that are taught now. And those two, so, that's a lot of work. This is our vision. Instead of
So where are you focused for yours?
really largely, we already have 20 policies that drive the following, so actually,
Although there are some co-ops, credit unions in particular.
Yeah, well, I'm in the funny space where I'm kind is the,
I think it would be great for us because it does include
helps
our
organizations with
so
finding
that's the
those
best way to
goals
interpret.
more so figuring out.
The way that our government
Of course, you know, this has to be through the tools, but it's right. Sustainability and
getting in front of it.
that is an area that's a little bit less
So has your organization gone through the lab assessment?
Yes.
Would that be one of your goals?
Whereas when we start to set goals, like we want to empower our workers to do this, and then you say, that's where I'm hoping to.
So in the past, was that creating goals
I
for
don't know yet.
you or action goals?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Inspire
That's what I
goals?
My goals probably are more around how can I help organizations learning organizations.
So that could be a goal, right?
Yeah.
So that to me is really interesting. That I
Assessment, participatory
Jenny,
action.
you have children. So
So,
my kids are in the Williston School District, and I don't think it's unique to Williston, but talking a lot about growth mindset, familiar with that. I love John. And so Carol Pickett, like the academic law. And so one of the things that I'm curious about is certification through assessing yourself relative to your goal and whether or not it enacts a growth mindset. And I'm sort of marrying my two favorite worlds. And I just think it's interesting that I think so many of us, I was actually just reading a report that my boss just sent me, and to me, I think should be embedded in that report. It's just a report about a school experience, but it was talking about how some students felt a certain way and not to get them from action and impact change and make that hope that that shows up differently for the next school. And to me, what's the point of reporting out or assessing those values for them to aspire to do something differently? And I don't even mean better, right, but do something differently or create that, I was in that section where we were talking about like learning opportunity to learn from whatever you Right, then it becomes a checkbox. Okay,
Look at it. So basically ESG. That's basically what I really enjoy investing in, environmental governance and social aspects. So traditionally, something that you would make an investment in, looking at the balance sheet, looking at the shareholders, pricing, and looking at their, if you're looking at the finances of the company, what ESG investment does is it takes the traditional layer of the valuation and then lay that over with, are they innovative, environmental regulation? Although sustainable, realistically, they're going to, that's what we believe is that that's going to make them more sustainable. They're going to better if they're innovative, no matter what aggressive their companies, they're at least likely to something where if they're taking initiative.
It's fascinating to think that it's like it sounds like you have it on paper, but it's not actually in action. And then, I think I've been the pusher in my business partnership of saying, well, we need to put some of this on paper. And I think she's all felt, well, if we live this, then why do we need to write it? Kind of thing. It's like this policy right now that I feel like we should have written policies on all this. That's what we probably do, because at some point we grow, and it's beyond the two of us, where you have to be able to prove that in some way too. But it's like, how do we get it on paper and continue? It sounds like to live that way too.
We do that frequently, not all the time, but one of the reasons that we often miss the summer Tuesday is because we just upgraded which was very advising the franchise owners I work under, just joined the board of directors. We've got boards, yeah, 40 years. And we invite our clients to participate in those volunteer days. So we get we're working together.
I think that the trust me factor failing, past tense, active. And that's actually how I started out in certification. Models of trust. And
But we have to follow.
I don't know what it is. There's sort of an incidental aspect of certifications is that there's this whole business that is fostered by helping people become certified. It almost becomes right so for a moment, but it becomes this other business opportunity. I appreciate the business opportunity if it's an authentic, but not the, oh, let's down if I can definitely certify. Right? That is a very different question than what you get for all writers.
I'm really passionate about being an employee. So I'm curious, so I know if I wasn't here, it would be less interesting in my job. Because it's very much the focus of what we do. So I'm trying to find okay, we switched from plastic stirrers to wooden stirrers. So do you think I mean, it's small little things, the small tiny little starters, but it's not really part of so these types of conversations,
like, it's hard to say, yes, but
It's also a business venture.
it's also business, but it's also I learned HR experience.
And it's an in-group and an out, so I'm a CPA as well. So she's an in-group and an out group.
Well, that's how do you prove your legitimacy though in two things, because I'm a health coach as well, and there's now a new body that's forming, there's going to be a new health coaching certification, and I went to Duke and got my certification there, and they are dumbing their program down in order to be competitive within the health coaching market right now. So it's like I actually feel like with the national thing that's coming, my qualifications are a lot less than they were before.
Just to know, to wrap up in the next 2 minutes, if somebody hasn't had a chance to talk, make sure that person gets a chance to talk.
I think it's a great report their impacts, so this is directly relevant to you. And so over the next 2 weeks,
I think I would, I've been doing that, and I feel like it fits. I actually had someone bring me the coffee, and she's like, are you this Vermont community kitchen? And I was like, yeah. She's like, I've got diverticulitis. Do you know what that is? And I was like, actually, I'm a PA. She's like, oh my God, I'm so glad I called you. And I was like, I didn't know what we could do. She's like, can you cook for me? I'm like, it's not exactly what our model is, but you know, it's like, oh, well, it's my role. And I can fit right into here and like sit down and here's my coaching sessions.
So for me, it's definitely something that they could use.
I was just talking to an integrative health doctor about that, whether or not if I became that under, as a PA, yeah,
So, yeah, that's why I
whether or not
said
it's I have to take more
Are you familiar with Richmond Family Medicine and military? I've actually moved away from it, but
well, so they're focused on the
at
growth.
one time,
Exactly, so fundraising,
signed
they're
me
focused
for
on
about
growth
2
stage.
years.
So there's a
Now
few
switched to
but they want to find the sectors that are established or modern and go for national.
I work with Dana at,
And
I
their
was
whole
on their
mission is
community
to
team.
I
I did coach before,
Maybe that's why it wasn't. Okay, confidential, you probably couldn't. No, but I was like, maybe I'll be before.
Right.
Yeah, I think we're doing that kind of program.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I'm sure, no.
you know, it's just a huge.
Yeah, so we gotta bring it all together. Yeah, which is me, I like shiny object person.
I know, right?
Like, oh, and then I teach my class classes, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that.
Another person to connect with, maybe wants less of these, but are you familiar with
Everybody back to my meeting. We can get everyone around again. You're welcome to stay after and continue your discussion. But if we could get everyone through one, we've got 10 minutes left. So feedback from any of the groups. We'll start with the most talkative group back there, but mainly you have meetings with most people. Any feedback from goals that you learned or shared or met or made?
Summarize. My name's Nicholas Day. I work with Chroma Technology. We've been a B Corp certified since 2015, and I was saying that even though we're B Corp certified and have a fairly healthy score, my goal is to really start using the B Corp assessment to drive our goals and really monitor our improvements that way. So far, it's been a tool we've got in our hand, but I don't think we're really using it to its full potential yet.
Excellent. This group back there, the smallest group.
We just talked a little bit about how I work in HR for a co-op, and so we already have 28 pages of governing policies, and so it's hard to get everybody excited about doing the impact assessment. But I think that it's something that we should do just to have as many channels of information as possible in terms of our sustainability and socially responsible goals. So we're going to do it.
Great. Anyone from your group?
We talked a lot about diversity and inclusion on our table in the beginning, thinking about how that needs to be incorporated specifically in the context of Vermont and how we were trying to ask each other what we're all doing for that.
Well, that's interesting. A little dovetails on June 15th. The B Corp is doing a
Business leadership development, build, we call it.
build, and other mama, but Sasha and I are going to be leading a workshop all on inclusion, focusing on Vermont, because there's a lot to do that can be done. And yeah, maybe it's not all going to be in culture and race in Vermont, but it can be in terms of economic, it can be in terms of age. We've had various disabilities, gender,
diversity.
all kinds of things.
Including gender identification, huge issue in
Yes.
Vermont. And outside Chittenden County, employees, if you're not a man's man and or a woman's woman, you have a problem.
And to dovetail on that quickly too, the entire global B Corp community right now is into our second year of an initiative around diversity and inclusion. And the strategy is that companies are going into the impact assessment and choosing 3 goals out of the impact assessment, which will be their target for the next 4 years or so. And it's a good example of how an assessment like that can be helpful in choosing goals.
And I would make a plug for Ben & Jerry's. I use them as an example actually in that social media webinar, ASBC, because it is so well recognized that we have an issue in Vermont. And they did a Black Lives Matter, they did a Twitter chat, and then they did a blog post and a Facebook post that frankly dealt with that and addressed the business case, why this is important to all of us, and start a whole conversation. So you can both change the conversation as well as do things internally, so.
This group?
Chris here has quite a lot to say, but I'm going to check out the VEIC Pathways program for some interesting ways to incentivize my employee myself to reduce my carbon impact. And also, I'm going to be revisiting the B-Lab survey.
Call me anytime, okay? Don't run away.
This group?
Go ahead. You had a good one.
Yeah, we got
It's okay.
The main challenges that we talked about were just as a smaller company, implement, like, because we both done the assessment completely, and then, but just how to make time and allocate resources toward actually putting those things into policy, and because we both felt like we actually are doing really good things already, but it's not that formalized, and so that was more.
And when you formalize it, it gives you credit. It absolutely does. And we're gonna, my one easy thing that you can do today is you go on the Vermont Commission for Women. They have an equal pay compact. And all you have to say is, yeah, I'm gonna commit to this. Very, very easy to do.
It's women.vermont.gov.
And it is, okay, so they're doing this all over the country. And right now, Vermont has more businesses registered than Boston. And we want to keep, healthy competition there.
Could you repeat that website again, please?
It's women.vermont.gov.
Thank you.
And Vermont spelled out.
Yes.
Any other questions, comments about this session? Anything that you want to do further? Anything you'd like to see in a future similar workshop?
I'd just like to give credit to,
Chad.
Chad over here, who shared in our meeting that being a B-Lab certified corporation has actually enabled his company to, or has been an advantage in getting contracts and getting more businesses, that it's recognized as an advantage when they go out to try to secure business. And I don't think you would have to be B-Lab, B Corp as such, or B-Lab certified, whatever, but I think if part of your marketing or presentation of your company is that you're striving towards that, would be an advantage in the marketplace. I mean, I think that's what this example tells us.
I've heard from both clients, but also prospective employees, that they found me through Green America's National Green Pages or B-Lab. And so it works, yes, on getting clients, but also works on attracting the type of employees that want a reason to move to Vermont.
Not to mention some of you that are startups. If you're looking at investors in the world of impact investment, it's very helpful to be able to say, a plug. It's helpful to say you're a B Corp, but if you're not a B Corp, if you're like a B Corp, it's really helpful to be able to say we have our social and environmental goals and aspirations clearly stated and we measure them. That's a plus for you when you're looking at impact investors.
Comments, questions? All right, I'm such a stickler for getting people out on time. So a round of applause to all of you.
Thank you.
It's nice meeting you.
Thank you.